Good evening, and thank you once again for joining us here on Speed Racing Network. I'm very excited to get out there on the track. We are live here tonight from Circuit of the Americas, and I'm joined by the one and only Brandon Domain. As always, Brandon, are you excited to be down in Austin, Texas? Time to get weird.
Oh, it's Wednesday, my dudes. I'm always excited for the Truck Series, even more when it goes to my original home state out here in Texas. Getting to watch some road course racing, always fun. Going to be a quick race tonight, 25 laps. That's going to be short, right? Not too bad on a 3.5 mile, 20-turn road course.
Yeah, well, to throw some math your way, these guys are going to have 500 turns ahead of them here tonight. 25 laps, like Brandon said. It's going to be a quick one. But not really. It's going to seem like it's a long one inside the cockpit of these trucks here tonight. And this is one of the more fun road courses, Brandon. A lot of guys have been stressed out all week about this thing because it's just not suited for stock car racing. But here we are.
I mean, everybody says it's not really a stock car circuit, and it was completely built for Formula One and open-wheel vehicles, but at the same time, this track has a little bit of everything that you could want in a road course. It's got technical sections, it's got rhythm sections, high-speed sections. Really, anything that you could want in a racetrack is here at Austin's 3.5-mile road course, and really, Circuit of the Americas has really become the premier destination for a road course race in America at this point.
Yeah, I got to get out there for one of these Formula One races out there. It was absolutely awesome last year, so we got to get out there, Brandon, sometime. But before we do that, we got to go ahead and check out this week's Gearing Up segment, where I sat down with not a driver this time, but a team owner, and that being Justin Rideout, the team owner for JW Racing. Check it out. Hey guys, thanks again for joining me here on this week's Gearing Up segment. A little bit of a different look here this week because normally we have drivers sitting down, but I got a hold of Justin Rideout, the team owner for JW Racing. I have to get a hold of this guy because I want to know what's going on over there. Thanks for joining me here today, Justin. And first off, man, a lot of success to start off this season. How does it feel? You know, you pull these guys together and they're starting to make you look really good out there.
Well, I want to start off by saying thanks, Greg, for having me on. Kind of unexpected, but it's going to be fun. Yeah, these guys are, exceeding my expectations right now, to be honest with you. That's just the true testament of all the time they put in, week in and week out with these practices. And, we put up 2 mandatory practices a week, and then I also throw in extra practices throughout the week. And, man, I tell you what, not only are they doing the mandatory practices, but the majority of them, if not all of them, are in these additional practices also. So that's really helping these guys out, getting the track time, putting the laps in, working with each other, helping each other around the track, letting each other know, hey, this may work better here, getting the fuel mileage, some of the things that requires these guys, because I'm sitting the box for each of these races for the truck and Xfinity, and one of the things I ask from my guys is, hey, I need a fuel run. Get out on the track and run it till it's dry. I need that hard number so I can plan from there. And then the other thing I ask for is, we need tire wear. I need to know where your guys' tire wear are. So they will, run a full fuel run. I'll have one guy run the bottom lane, one guy run the middle lane, and one guy run the high lane for a whole fuel run. Then we'll just compare tires. And so all that information that these guys are providing me and themselves is, paying off. And then I got these guys into VRS, and so we can dig down deeper into the analytics and, trying to figure out where different drivers are picking up speed compared to, another driver on the team, and, trying to flatten that curve where, they're all running that same, hopefully run the same speeds and stuff like that. So it's fun. They're really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. They're making my job easy, and I want to thank Matt Robinson and Dean Gagliano. Dean's kind of taking over the truck series and setting up the practices, and Matthew's doing the same for the Xfinity, and it's just helping me take a lot of responsibilities off my plate, getting these guys involved. Everybody, all these drivers themselves they have other things other than just going out on the track and racing for JW Race. And we got two different painters on the team that help out with the paints for all the teammates. You got some of the admin stuff that needs to take place. You got Matt and Dean setting up the practices for the team. Outside of SRN racing, these guys are also racing together in some of these fun money races held by you guys on Friday nights and Saturdays. And so these guys really enjoy working with each other and racing with each other. And that's the end goal for me, is not just to get these drivers performing for themselves, but performing as a team. And our team motto is individuals can win races, but a team wins championships. And I firmly believe that, because to me, at the end of the season, I really don't care what their individual places are. My goal is the team, and individuals will work itself out if everybody's working for the team. So and kind of proved it last year. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys came down to the wire. You joined a little bit late last season and got into that team championship playoff, made it to the end, and unbelievably tied with Tank. I couldn't believe that it worked itself out that way, but looking like you guys are going to be in good shape to do that again this year in both series. You got a new truck team on board this year, but you pull it, and you said a team. It's all about the team. What goes into finding these kinds of drivers? I mean, how do you locate these guys, and how do you know that they're going to work really well together?
Well, I started this team back in 2020, and I just started off by hosting races, hosting these open races and recruitment races, and that's where I picked them from, right? And so I started off with Dean's been there from the beginning. Lane Doyle, I knew from a different series, and I brought him on board last year. And who else we got? Jacob Manning's been there from the beginning. Matt Robinson, Michael Larch, and Drew. That was the initial core JW Racing back in 2020. And then since then, we brought on James Shane Wolf, which he raced for a different team, and we got permission for him to join us last year. And luckily enough, he came aboard again with us this year. And some of the new additions, Nick Halda, Ryan Johnson, Trevor Williams, they're all new this season for us. And they came about by recommendations from other drivers on the team. They're like, hey, we raced with him in this series, he seemed to be pretty good. So I reached out to him, and we had a conversation, and I let them know what my expectations are, just like the rest of the team. They know what my expectations are. We're a team, we're not individuals. Communication's a must. And so that's just how JW Racing formed. And that's, come next season, hopefully we'll put out a Cup Series team, and we'll start recruiting for drivers for that too. So that's pretty much how we did it.
You took one of my questions away. I was going to see if you were going to put a Cup Series team. I imagined you were, with the success that you've had going here so far. So get that one out of the way. But I'm curious to know, you seem to be like you're really enjoying being on the box for these guys. How long have you been on iRacing, and how long have you been doing these type of crew chief duties? And is that something you enjoy more than going out there and racing? Because I can't remember a time seeing you out there on the track, but you certainly are well known here in SRN.
Well, I started in 2019 and raced for, I didn't know anybody on iRacing, joined a different league and raced under a team. And then after that, I raced for SRN last year as the number 50 car in the Xfinity race. And then that's while I lived in Virginia. Then I moved back down here to Alabama, and I'm like, sold my rigs and everything else like that. So I didn't want to haul out all that stuff down here. And since being down here, I'm like, I'm just going to sit the box. I like running the team. I like sitting the box. And, I like driving too, but I think I'm starting to like sitting the box more than what it takes to drive. So, and the cool thing is, sitting on the box, you're never wrong, right, Greg? So yeah. I can sit there and I can see my drivers and the corners they're taking, the lines they're taking. I'm like, nah, you may want to change it up. You're slower, you're faster than someone else. And sometimes I'm sure I'm pretty irritating. Those guys always in their ear, but hey, I don't do anything wrong up here other than maybe blowing a pit stop call or something like that. But driving, I'm always 100%. So
yeah, that's exactly like me up here in the booth now. I never do anything wrong up here because, not out there on the track anymore. But, we're heading into COTA this week, and this is rated before the Truck Series goes out on the track. Who should we be looking for this week? Now, Ryan Johnson has just come onto the scene strong here. Lane Doyle won at Daytona, and you got a few other really good truck drivers that are usually running in the top 10. So who should we be on the lookout for this week?
For the trucks, definitely Ryan. He's really good at road courses. Don't let him downplay you. I know interview last week. He may not have been here in a truck so far, but some of the races I've watched him, road courses, he dominated. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him back out there. Lane put some practice in yesterday and the day before, and he is really quick. Dean and Nick and Trevor, they're picking it up. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them up there. I'm really excited for COTA this week, and these guys aren't really excited, but I told them, hey, if you stay on the track, that's going to be better than 70% of the people, and let itself clear itself out, and you'll get a good finish. So we're looking forward to it.
It's usually what I have to remind my teammates as well. Just keep that thing straight, and below that incident point limit, everything else will work itself out. But one
Absolutely.
more question. I'm curious to know, I asked Ryan this last week, and I'm not trying to pry into anything, but how do you settle drivers down after that battle that they had at Phoenix between Johnson and Lane Doyle? I mean, these guys are going to go down right to the very end in the championship. So how do you kind of get through to your teammates there and move on to next week after such a battle like we saw there in Phoenix?
Oh, there definitely wasn't no hard feelings after that. I tell these guys, hey, when it comes down, I expect you guys to race. I don't expect you guys to pull over for your teammate. If you ever do that and I'm on the box, then we're going to have a conversation, because just don't wreck each other is my only requirement, right? So if these guys weren't down there racing each other to the end, I would have been upset. And these guys know that, hey, once we're clear of everybody, it's time for us to race. They're going to race. And they were joking after the race. And, Lane was kind of disappointed, because he led the most laps up to that last lap. But, hey, it is what it is. And he knew where he messed up. It's just something he has to learn from. And, Ryan jumped on the opportunity. And, hey, that's, finishes like that and races like that, that's where these guys learn from. And hopefully they don't make that mistake again. And at the end of the day, they're teammates. And, again, you can hear it in their voice when they even talk. They mention everything about the team. That's not really about themselves. And so far so good. And that's our goal. So.
Awesome. Well, yeah, they put on a show this year in both the Trucks and Xfinity Series, and have to imagine that's not going to go away anytime soon. So these boys out there better realize that you guys are here to play this season. Justin, thanks for sitting down with me, man, and good luck here in the near future. And like you said, you're never wrong on that box, so have fun with it.
Hey, thanks, Greg. One last thing, I'd like to give a little shout out to our team sponsors, Rogue Energy. Go online, www.rogueenergy.com, and use coupon code JW Racing, save a little money, and some of that money comes back to our team. Thank you to Saloon Door Sports, Mard Mechanical, Maxon Industries Incorporated, and Rufus Sport MMA, and everybody on the team for making this happen. You guys up in the booth, and SRN for putting on these awesome series, and we thank you.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate that, and good luck, man, and we'll see you soon.
All right, have a good day.
All right, thanks for Justin Rideout sitting down with me. I mean, he spent a good 12 minutes with me, so that's a feat in itself. But, man, learned a lot from him and all they're doing over at JW Racing. And, Brandon, I think the Cup Series better be on high alert, because he just maybe teased it a little bit. They might be making a Cup Series team next year and fill out all three of these series.
Well, they made the big jump last year, joining a little bit late, but still made a huge impact on the Xfinity side. The truck side, I mean, look at the point standings right now. Two of their drivers leading the way with the 3 wins up there as well, with Ryan Johnson and Lane Doyle. I can only imagine what they'll do if they get to the Cup Series as well.
Yeah, and Ryan Johnson, a.k.a. Tiny Horse, has been one for the theatrics here with these last 2 wins. One with a pass with 2 laps to go, and then another in Atlanta on the last lap. So see if he can go 3 in a row. And I can tell you for a fact he is pretty quick here, sitting second on the practice charts. But there you go. Ryan Johnson, Lane Doyle, Brad Herman, Landon Cardullo, and Jose Castellanos are top 5 through 3 weeks in the Truck Series. And taking a look at these drivers further on back in the standings, Trevor Williams, one of those JW Racing trucks, sitting outside looking in. And we got De Silva, Techmeyer, Daniel Park, Lucas Lyons right there, Blair Holloman, who was a Final 5 driver, Sean Jensick, another one. He's missed a couple weeks, but he's got some work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I brought it up last week that we're getting near a quarter of the way through the season. We're now at the quarter way pole in the regular season. And that's kind of one of those times where, all right, you got to start making a move if you're in one of these positions. And I'm really looking at, you mentioned Blair Holloman, Sean Jensick. You can look at Josh Mueller, Bobby Anderson, guys that we are used to seeing up in the playoffs year after year. And they're sitting here way outside. I mean, nobody in that group better than 25th in the point standing. Still plenty of time, but there's only so much longer you can say there's still plenty of time to make a comeback.
Well, and you also got to consider, too, a lot of these guys aren't the biggest fans of road courses, too. We're here tonight at COTA, and then in a couple weeks we're going to be at Watkins Glen. So those are 2 tracks that they're not expecting to have good standings at, so or results, excuse me. So the pressure's starting to set in possibly a little bit as we enter week 4 here in the Truck Series. But taking a closer look at the team championship standings, this is no surprise. JW Racing absolutely running away with this thing over last season's champion, Jonathan Byer Racing. They got an 81-point gap over them. Stryker Motorsports hanging in. It's actually a really good race here for 2nd through 5th, and the seeding really goes a long way in this team championship.
Yeah, absolutely does. And remember, the top 8 teams at the end of the regular season will advance to the bracket-style playoff that we have. And as it stands right now, JW Racing would be facing Bobby Anderson Racing. JBR would be facing Tank. Stryker would have Zoo Yost. And then a incredibly close matchup from the start of the season, what we're seeing right now with Dark Tank Racing, who's actually outpacing their sister stable, Tank Racing, would be going up against Revs. But that 2nd through 5th battle is razor thin, 11 points separating them after 3 races.
Yeah, so these guys are going to be looking to run down JW Racing. I see Kyle Wimble in the chat saying that JBR is still the truck champs, and you're absolutely right, man. You get to enjoy it for these 20 weeks, but going to have your work cut out if these JW Racing trucks are racing like they are. Let's go ahead, Brandon, check out the sponsors here on Speed Racing Network like we always do. Silverback Tax Solutions. If you're having any issues with the IRS, get a hold of Sean Griffith over at Silverback Tax Solutions. No matter where you're at in this country, that man can help you out. Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing, located down in Florida. Check them out. They got some really awesome detail kits that they can send your way. And hey, if you're around the area, they can get that car sparkling and shining for you and looking real good. Butt Kicker on board this year for the Hard Charger Award that's going to be handed out at the end of the season. We'll get to that in just a second. They're going to get a free game or 2 in each series. And then TJ's Team Foundation at morethanAcape.org. This one's really special to us because it affects families that are battling childhood cancer, and there's nothing worse in the world than that, Brandon. So, donate your money if you can, donate your time, just donate your knowledge of reading what that organization is all about. It can go so far, and word of mouth really helps the cause as well.
Absolutely can, and no amount is too small. I know there's some people that are thinking, all I can do is $5. Any little bit helps. You're sitting there. I know last night you were talking about what the league put together and how it was, man, we wish we could put together a little bit more. And it was, well, this is going to pay a light bill for a family and all those things. Like every little bit helps. So if you're able to donate, please go to www.morethanAcape.org and check out TJ's team.
Absolutely. But that other sponsor we mentioned that is handing out this game or 2 to each series Hard Charger. Butt Kicker coming on board, and we can't thank them enough. This is an awesome piece of equipment. We're going to get these standings to you. I'm really working on Sean Griffith, guys, so I know he's listening right now, probably rolling his eyes at me. But yeah, Brandon, this is your butt radar you always speak of, and this is a awesome piece of equipment that really gives you that simulation feel, which is what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we try to simulate things as best as possible. iRacing does an amazing job, but one thing they can't do is give you the feel of the racetrack. And what this device does, and not just for sim racing, but for all games, it kind of uses like audio and all the ways that it can use the audio side of things to kind of mimic that. So it's almost like a bass that's going to be going underneath your chair and just kind of giving you that feel. And it really is impressive when you look at places like Talladega, even some of the bumps at tracks like a Circuit of the Americas, which is pretty smooth on the circuit, on the surface. But yeah, they just do a great job of giving you just that added feel on the racetrack.
Yeah, and it's a company that is based right here in the United States of America. So who doesn't love that? So if you're interested, just go check them out at buttkicker.com and see what they have to offer. But Brandon, I saw a little change in my screen here, and that means one thing. Qualifying's over, and we are getting ready to get down to it here at the Circuit of the Americas. Just take a look at this breathtaking facility located in Austin, Texas. Doesn't get much better than this. These guys are going to have their hands full here tonight.
It is a beautiful circuit, but even just looking at it from this blimp cam, you can tell that it is a very technical circuit as well in places. Going to be a heck of a challenge for these guys out here on the racetrack.
Yeah, and we kind of had to get the blimp up a little bit higher in the sky to get this whole facility in the shot. So thanks to the guys up in the blimp for getting us this awesome view. But there we see it, race number 4 of 20. Sean Jensick going to be our pole sitter here tonight with a time of 2.17.134. And not too far off of his time is the back-to-back winner out of JW Racing, Ryan Johnson. He's going to be starting outside pole. Landon Cardullo and Joseph DuPont. He's a road course ringer in his own right. He is going to be starting outside of row 2.
In row number 3, it's going to be the last time we went to a road course. The winner of that one, Blair Holloman at Watkins Glen last season. He'll be starting in the 5th position. Mike Mosby will be outside row 3 with his teammate Holloman. In row number 4, it'll be Jacob Zala out of Jonathan Byer Racing and Lane Doyle, one of our 2 race winners here thus far this season. He'll be starting in the 8th position.
Yeah, no surprise to see Michael Madden starting in the top 10 here. He was really strong in the first season, so he's starting 9th. Andrew Harris going to round out the top 10. Brad Herman in row 6 alongside Josh Fox. But, Brandon, we got time to do so. Let's go ahead and check out the next 6 rows. Ben Park, Lucas Lyons in row 7, Trevor Williams, and Jonathan Byer in row 8.
In row number 9, it'll be Kevin Winker out of Zoo Yost Racing. Tank Racing's Ben Mueller will be alongside him. Row 10, Bruce Amston out of Tank Racing as well. And Sean Kozier will round out the top 20. And row number 11, it'll be Daniel Park out of Dark Tank Racing in 21st. Cody Madden out of Revd Racing in 22nd. And in row 12, Troy Techmeyer for Zoo Yost Racing and Zachary Burgess for Tank Racing starting 24th.
So those are our first 12 rows, 38 trucks here in the field tonight. So it's going to be a packed house out there. But before we get to it, Brandon, we got to get down to who we picking tonight. So who you got?
Well, I kind of hinted at it during the start of that starting lineup, but the last time we were at a road course, it was Blair Holloman taking the win at Watkins Glen. A little bit different of a style of road course, but he's still one of the better road racers out here in the Truck Series. I got my money on that 06 tonight.
Okay, that's a solid pick, and you kind of took that one away from me because I think Blair Holloman is really close to getting that first win on the season. But I'm going to go ahead with our pole sitter tonight and take Sean Jensick in that 29 machine, like I said, sitting on pole in that Revd Racing Ford F-150. And he was a 3-time winner last season, yet to break into the winners column here this season. Going to have his work cut out for him as he's got the back-to-back winner, Ryan Johnson, starting to his outside. So those are our picks here tonight, Brandon. And I think those are 2 very solid picks here as we round turns 19 and 20 to get this thing started.
They come around turn 20. It's still going to be that long crawl to the start line because there's going to have a little bit more space in the finish line, which is a little bit closer, but you can see it there, 133-foot climb facing these drivers before they hit turn 1.
Yeah, as you just see everybody whip around turn number 20. They have a little bit of ways to go before this thing gets started. 2 different spots where the start and finish line is. But here we go. That green flag is in the air here. Sean Jensick gets it underway here in Austin, Texas.
As the drivers fan out big time. See 3 wide, 4 wide, got a spin coming out of turn 1, and it's a big stack up. About 5-6 trucks, one upside down. It's Joseph DuPont in the one truck.
And no full course cautions here tonight like we had last night, so this is going to shake things up. And he started outside of second row, was looking for a great run here tonight. Not going to be the case. I mean, he can still get into this thing because, like we said last night, we have a halfway caution here. So he's going to be looking to limp this thing around and possibly just try to get the best finish that he can. But heading back up towards the front, Sean Jensic already out to about a half a second lead as they come around turn number 10 and head down towards the hairpin, turn number 11.
And what you just saw there, that little turn 10, they call it the kink here, that left-hand downhill, that's actually one of the more deceptively tricky turns on this racetrack. It's got that bounce that happens once you get to the end of it. When you come out of that right side just kind of a little bit uneven. That really want to kick drivers away, but then they get the second big slowdown section here before they hit this hairpin turn 11, going down a 1 kilometer back straightaway before they get heavy on the brakes at the highest speed of any point here in this race before they hit turn 12. And that was a good look from Ryan Johnson to the inside, but not going to stick the nose in there just yet.
Yeah, he's going to keep that in his back pocket potentially as a possible passing zone for him over this 29 machine. He made up some big-time ground as Sean Jensic, was a little bit, cautious heading into turn 12, and Ryan Johnson is all over the back bumper of Sean Jensic right now. So a great race up front as Landon Cardullo is in the mix as well.
And this is going to be really interesting strategy here for these race leaders. They've already opened up 2 seconds back to Jacob Zala in 4th position. And the frustrating thing is we've been talking about that competition caution at halfway, and it's good to get away. You're going to get away from the pack. You're going to get a lot less chance of finding trouble on this racetrack. But at the halfway point, all that work that you've put in over the first half, you already know it's going to be going away. So at this point, you're kind of figuring out what your truck's going to do on the long run under these current conditions. This is going to be more research than anything, and just trying to keep this truck clean for the first half of the race.
Absolutely. So the gap still maintaining about a half a second between Sean Jensic and Ryan Johnson, and putting another second between themselves, Landon Cardullo. And I think this is shaping up to be the class of the field, as you're right. This is just pulling away, and that could be, in fact, due to what we saw at the beginning with the incident with Joseph DuPont. But there you see a 3-wide penalty being enforced on Jacob Zala and Lucas Lyons, both given penalties for taking the restart 3 wide prior to the pit exit cone, which is very easy to forget that you can't do that.
Yeah, that's a rule that became implemented here this season. You have to wait to go 3 wide unless there's a extreme circumstance there that you have to wait until the end of the pit exit cone. That blue cone, which here is just short of turn 1. Couple of aggressive guys on starts and restarts deciding to make that move a little bit too early. Thought I saw that, wasn't sure, but definitely with those penalties, going to hit them pretty hard and going to set them back quite a ways.
So Sean Jensic barreling down into turn 12, which is where he gave up a lot of ground last time to Ryan Johnson. Does a better job this time of getting into that hard left turn, which is very easy to lock up the brakes here, especially with these smaller brake rotors on these trucks. And we'll see tomorrow as well with Brandon, you and the Xfinity cars. I know you're super thrilled to get out there and get this race done with, right?
I'm actually really excited about it. I always say I'm not the best road racer. I'm no ace by any means, but I just enjoy road racing. Good time, but doesn't look like much of a good time right now for Michael Madden. That at 15, that truck has taken a beating here in the first couple of laps.
Yeah, kind of racing along his Season 1 rival there, Andrew Harris. These two are battling it out for wins there in Season 1 here. Oh, and they get into each other right there. A little more damage for the 15. Sends the 87 up high through the carousel, and I don't think Andrew Harris is going to like that all too much. So we'll see what happens here as they head through turns 19 and 20.
Well, he's not going to like it. I don't think Michael Madden's going to like that either, because one thing we haven't brought up just yet is the incident count, which is in play. It wasn't a year ago at this racetrack. 25 incident points available. Once you get that, you're disqualified. You see the damage that we already saw on the 15. That's going to be at least 4 incident points somewhere that happened. That contact there, very likely another 4. With 23 laps to go, he might be a third of the way to that count already.
Yeah, as we see the leaders already approaching lap traffic. Not sure who that was could have been Dean Gagliano potentially. Not too sure who these guys are in front of them, but nonetheless, they're going to be approaching. Oh, I'm an idiot, Brandon. I'm thinking these are the leaders here. When were you? You were just going to let me go along with that, weren't you?
I was trying to figure out what you were talking about, so I was looking at the timing and scoring all of a sudden. Hey, in your defense, the 15 and the 29, they do kind of look alike today.
I did not sleep well, okay? This is what I'm going with last night. I was so excited after the awesome Cup Series race that we had and the battle coming down between Joseph Causey and Chris Lucky that I just couldn't sleep, Brandon. So I blame it on you for letting me go as long as I did right there.
Well, I was about to come in saying that a couple of the drivers that had the penalties, maybe that's something that we should be looking at, but both of them still, it looks like, on the lead lap. Though, actually, I see Lucas Lyons, based on our track map, it looks like he's still on pit road, actually. He might have had more damage than we saw on that turn 1 incident.
Yeah, so some big-time damage for a lot of those guys on that first lap, so I think that's playing in a little bit to these guys really getting away from the rest of the field. But, I mean, they're putting some big time on Mike Mosby, who's having an absolutely great run. He's needed it for this season to get underway for that 99 truck in the right direction. So 4th place for Mike Mosby. He's really loving where he's at. Nobody really around him right now. So take a look at the 99. Like I said, not one truck within 3 seconds of him anywhere, as Brad Herman is starting to close the gap on him, as well as Blair Hallman back there. So keep an eye on 99, see if he finishes this off and possibly finishes with a top 5 here tonight.
And I tell you what, that's a tremendous position to be in that he is in right now. And yeah, it's always nice. You got 6 seconds in front of you, 3 seconds behind you. There's no real chance that you're going to get caught up in anything unless it's self-inflicted. But the bigger thing is going back to that incident point count. He's by himself. He doesn't have that pressure, doesn't have the possibility right now going side by side. Going to be really easy to kind of bank all those possible incident points that might become more of a factor in the second half of the race when things get more pressing there for the 99.
Yeah, he doesn't have the type of pressure that Rob Yost might be feeling right now, who's running in 15th. But has Jose Castellanos running right behind him in that truck. Who he had a great run last week in Atlanta, sits top 5 in the points. Jose having a great season, so he's going to want to capitalize. Was running really well in practice, but I'm guessing he didn't have the qualifying effort that he wanted, and is already up 9 spots from where he started this race in 25th. So Jose now sits in 16th, but once more out of this one.
Yeah, and he's deceptively solid on the road courses as well. 6th place finisher a year ago here at Circuit of the Americas. So that's something that maybe he can hang his hat on that. He was one of those drivers that wouldn't have hit the incident limit. And even though a year ago we weren't looking at the incident points, that was not a rule at the time. But only about half the drivers that finished on the lead lap would have been under 25. COTA is notorious on iRacing, for still having the turtles through the S's in several turns, which they got rid of them in real life for the Cup Series this past weekend, but also the track limits that iRacing set are just incredibly tight. It is tighter there than most any track that you'll see. You just get 2 wheels off that surface and into the paint, sometimes it still catches you.
Oh, yeah, so not only do you have to monitor your incident limit, you have to just be careful in general, because you're right, this grass will grab you and not let go. So Sean Kozer getting passed by Bobby Anderson now, who's up 11 positions. Had a decent run last night in the Cup Series, was our butt kicker hard charger for yesterday in the Cup Series. Looking to possibly do the same here tonight. He's already up 11 positions. Started this race in 33rd, now up to 22nd. But this is our closest battle throughout the whole track. All 6 of these trucks right here really tight together.
Yeah, and this is one of those interesting points in the race. It's still early. There's going to be a lot of guys that will want to be patient, knowing that we're going to have that competition caution coming up in about, 7 laps from now. But you still got to push. You still got to think track position, because what we saw in turn 1 with the start of the race with that big pileup, you kind of want to be as far forward as you can to possibly miss all of that going forward when we get that restart going about 10 laps from now when that happens.
Well, surprised to see this, and of course you can't see it with that angle, but Lucas Lyons sitting on pit road, so I think he's got some significant damage to the front end of that truck. I'm trying to get a good look at it here to see exactly what puts him on pit road. Yeah, it's got a little dinged up on the front there, but that truck is completely turned off, and I think he might be done for the day. So Lucas Lyons, another bad run here in the Truck Series tonight.
Just a frustrating season there. Hopefully you can get that turned around here pretty soon. But one guy that is running very well this season is Sean Jensick. When he's been able to make it, he did have that one missed race, but he has been very good when he's out on the racetrack, and he's getting chased down still pretty tightly by our back-to-back race winner and points leader, Ryan Johnson. He's only 0.8 of a second behind. And one thing I kind of want to go back to, that group that we were watching not too long ago just saw Jack Johnson get turned around on the racetrack, so he lost a few spots there and fell well behind the rest of that pack.
Yeah, he's not having the night that he wanted. Another one, Kevin Wanker, who's also just involved in an incident where I think he went off track. He's down 10 positions on the night so far, but want to check in with Joseph DuPont, who we saw on his lid in that first turn and was in the back of this pack. He's already moved back up to 21st now, working on Bobby Anderson for a top 20 running spot. And once we get this halfway flag out, he could very well be right back in this thing. So I'm really curious to see where Joseph DuPont ends up when this caution flag comes out, man, and if he can get it done here tonight.
In real life, about a week and a half ago, I said Corey LaJoy pulled the Sky 5, getting airborne in the infield and then still finishing in the top 5. Might have a flip version of that with Joseph DuPont with the pace that he's showing on track right now.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? That might be your moment of the week or something, like you like to post on
That'd be
our
a pretty easy one.
Yeah, like you like to post on our Instagram page, which reminds me, check us out on Instagram. We got it. Oh, it's Andrew here. Oh, wow, and he gets a little bit of Trevor Williams there. Them tires are hot right now and did not want to grip back up with the track. Now he's got Jonathan Byer going right by him as well. So 87 heading backwards. But that reminds me, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We got them all now. We are everywhere. So if you want to know any of the latest news, which you can find power rankings that that came out with this week, actually. Sean Griffith posted them on our Twitter account. So definitely check us out. And we're watching him right now. It's kind of fitting because Race Control giving us the update on Andrew Harris, who's already sitting at 18 points. 25 is the limit, Brandon.
And we are only 5 laps into this race, 20 laps to go. That is a very concerning number for Andrew Harris. Also for Cody Madden, as you see it there on the bottom of the screen, 15 incident points, 60% of the way there in only 20% of the race. That is a horrible position for them to be in. Also a horrible position here for AJ Pritchett, who was turned backwards. I believe that's turn 1, maybe 12. Trying to get a good look at it.
This is actually Derek De Silva in that 14 truck here tonight, not AJ Pritchett. It's AJ Pritchett's truck, but De Silva is in that 14, and those were 2 Tank Racing stable trucks there, the 14 and the 40, so not what you want as far as a team perspective goes. So we'll keep an eye on them and see if they're able to climb their way back up to the field. But Brandon, we got a battle up front. Ryan Johnson still knocking on the door of Sean Jensick's number 29 Ford F-150.
And this is going to be really interesting to see how they handle this because, like we've been talking about, we're going to have the halfway caution before lap 12 is completed, and they're going to have to get reset, but you also don't want to really wear each other out and waste some of those incident points that we've been talking about all night. So this is going to be a very delicate race here for these two because they know that no matter what they do, it's going to come right back, reset the field in about 5 laps time, and everybody will get a chance to come down pit road and everything like that. But they also got to be thinking, we can't really make too much contact because then we're starting to set each other up to be in a possible bad position in the second half of the race when things are going to get more aggressive.
Yeah, so you see it right there. Ryan Johnson really wheeling this thing around. You can see how on edge that 48 is, and it's helping out. I mean, the last 3 laps, he's been faster than to 29. And Sean Jensick is one that I think can race with pressure. He's been in a lot of scenarios where he's ended up winning these races. But, man, it's got to be a different feeling when you've got a guy that's won back-to-back races here and has made an absolute trailblazing statement early on in this year's truck series and just starting to run away with this thing. So Ryan Johnson, I think he kind of misled us last week. Brandon said he wasn't looking forward to this, and
Well,
I think he lied to us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to think we just need to pick him every week at this rate with how good that he has been looking out here on the racetrack, though he is going to overshoot it here in 12 and give up about a second by the time that they get to turn 13 through the stadium section modeled after Hockenheim, as Sean Jensick still pulling away. And really, these are the two drivers that may have the most momentum going for them on the service in general. Ryan Johnson, points leader. He's got those two back-to-back wins. Sean Jensick has been running in the college series for iRacing, so a strong showing for him as of late as well, outside of SRN along with inside of it. So two of the hottest drivers that we got in the league, 1-2.
Just got a notification that Landon Cardulo might have crashed. I actually want to go back and check this out potentially here and see exactly what happened on this Sparkle and Shine mobile detailing wreck replay.
Sparkle and shiny new graphic.
Yeah, thanks, man. I spent a lot of time. I wanted to get them out there on the sim here on YouTube and give them some recognition, but maybe just overshot 12 a little bit, and there you go. He's going to send it around. A good save there.
Not bad. That's going to wear out the tires, but not too bad overall. That could have been a whole lot worse there for Landon.
He meant to do that. That's what he'll tell us after the race when he talks to us up here in the broadcast booth, but still able to maintain that third place running position at the moment. And we talked about it earlier. You could see him highlighted in green on that track map. There is nobody anywhere close to the 13. So even though he took that little slide there, he didn't have to worry about anybody possibly coming up behind him and possibly hitting him because there's nobody around him. So lucky for him, he's able to keep that 13 clean and heading in that right direction.
And amazingly enough, I don't even know if he picked up an incident point for going off track. He was right on the line of going off track. Even with that slide, he wouldn't have gotten a lost control because he didn't go more than 90 degrees around. So he might have come away with that completely clean, aside from losing a couple seconds, which isn't going to really hurt him because we're going to have that reset here in just a few laps.
Well, tight battle here for fourth between Mike Mosby, Blair Holloman, and Brad Herman, a three-way battle for fourth. So Mike Mosby still holding on to that fourth place position, but he is contested right now with two very strong trucks and two Final Five finalists from last season in Blair Holloman and Brad Herman.
And racy pack right here as Mike Mosby still trying to hang on to that fourth position with some heavy contenders here, not just over the season, but in this race in particular. Two very good road racers making that move to the inside, and Mosby just going to give them those positions and say, I'm just going to live to fight on another day. Oh, wow, was he almost turned around there coming out of 12. Very easy to lose control in turn 12 with how much you have to lock up the brakes to really get into that turn. That's going from the highest speed on the racetrack to, I'd say, about the second slowest that they're going to be hitting at over any point of this racetrack.
Yeah, and that just can show you what changing up your routine can do for you. So he kind of let these guys go on by, and rightfully so. He didn't want the pressure Jack Johnson around after turn 10, but yeah, it just throws you off a little bit, and you kind of get it back on the throttle a little bit wrong, and that's all it takes here. You're in that low gear, it can easily spin those rear tires on you and get you looped around, but did a great job of hanging on to it. So there you see another incident limit update. Derek Da Silva already up to 15. We only had one DQ yesterday, Brandon, early on in that race. I think we're staring down the possibility of maybe beating that here tonight.
Yeah, it's a little surprising because of how much the field has gotten really spread out. You can see it on the track map there on the upper right-hand corner. Everybody really getting stretched out a good bit. There's only a couple of pockets of tight racing, as with this one right here, 4th and 5th place with Blair Holloman and Brad Herman. And nice little nod here for Blair Holloman for that paint scheme as well, going old school F1 style back in the old Marlboro paint schemes. As he said, it's a road course. I'm just going to bust out a road course looking paint scheme. And that's a good job there with that one.
Yeah, man, it kind of takes me back because the other day I was working really hard at work and watching the Schumacher documentary. Did you see what I did there?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Said I was working really hard. Yeah, it was an awesome documentary, but yeah, man, rocking that sweet Marlboro paint scheme, but I don't think he's too worried about that right now. He's worried about this 85 B water machine just behind him. And Brad Herman, I know, wants to get that first win out of the way. Our Truck Series defending champion from last season wants to get a win here in SRN. Having a good run, though, a top 5 here at COTA. Can't beat that.
No, and he's, I would say, pretty well been the best driver not to pick up a win, which we only got a couple drivers that have here in the Truck Series this season. But he has been right there on the verge of it in 2 of the races. I'd say Daytona, even Daytona he was. So all the races, he's been a contender in it. That's why he's sitting there 3rd in the point standings. Another nice race going on here, as trying to figure out which truck that is. It's Trevor Williams there in the 46,
Ooh.
just in front of Jose Castellanos, who had to make a little evasive action there. So they had different break points going into 12, and that's something that you will commonly see as people just want to have different entry points into that turn, and it can create those little bottleneck moments like that.
Yeah, well, while we're riding on board with our good buddy here, Jose Castellanos, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up because this man is our butt kicker hard charger to this point. Now, granted, we have 4 drivers that are at plus 14, but right now he is the highest sitting one in 11th place after starting 25th on the night, staring down 10th place right in front of him. So with the impending competition caution just looming in the distance, this man could be starting in the first 5 rows once we get this thing back under green flag conditions after that competition caution, and he could be making up some more positions. So looking good for Jose Castellanos at this point.
Continuing a very strong start to the season in that number 5 striker truck, as makes that big climb up the hill, 133 feet, which that little iconic tower that they have here at COTA, the observation deck, that thing is twice as high of it, and as tall as that thing looks, that gives you a good idea of how high these trucks are climbing. And I'm a little surprised to see this because of the way that the fuel mileage works out with these trucks. They can go the distance without worrying about it, but some guy's going to short pit here as we got Andrew Harris and Bobby Anderson on pit road.
Yeah, we saw some drivers try to do this yesterday, and it didn't work out in the sense that, you know, the Cup Series race was 10 laps longer, which equates to almost, 32 miles longer. They weren't able, and they learned the hard way, they weren't able to make it the rest of the way on fuel by short pitting. Oh, who was that right there? I believe that was Joaquin Meza, potentially. No, I'm trying to see who that was. Might have been Zachary Burgesson. Yeah, the 40 truck having a tough go of it here tonight. We saw him in a tangle earlier with his tank racing teammate Derek De Silva, who's filling in for AJ Pritchett here tonight. So Zachary Burgesson running 36th right now. He is starting to pile up those incident points too, I believe.
Yeah, hard to see that he wouldn't unless there was an impressive evasive action in that earlier incident with De Silva where maybe he didn't make contact. One thing to note, we are 2 laps away from hitting that competition caution. Pit lane now closed for drivers at this point up until we get to that caution.
Well, I wanted to check in on our buddy here, Joseph DuPont, who we saw on his lid, like I said, in that first turn with the big skirmish, I guess we could call it, in that hairpin turn number 1. He started 4th here tonight, so yeah, he's down 12 positions, but this man is on a mission, and that mission is towards the front of this pack. This guy knows what he's doing. He runs a bunch of road course style races in the GT series and knows how to get it done. So this is his type of race here, and I think he's going to get back up here and contend for this thing potentially.
Man, this is an incredible run, salvaging points, but possibly putting himself back in contention after being upside down. GT racing is great on the surface. I don't know how much it translates once you're upside down, but that one truck absolutely on the move, making his way back up through the field after flipping on lap 1.
Yeah, good little battle here for Nick Halda and Kevin Winker. And Winker is one of those trucks we've seen having a little bit of issues here tonight. He's trying to get back into the top 20. So good battle here between actually 17th through 21st. So a nice 4-truck battle here. But heading back up towards the front, nothing changing for our leader, Sean Jensick, with a 3-second lead over Ryan Johnson, who was hanging with him for quite a while. But Sean Jensick starting to really pull away from everybody out there. He's got 14, almost 15 seconds on Landon Cardulo.
And I'm starting to wonder if Ryan Johnson, after that lockup, maybe he had a little bit more tire wear and just starting to lose the grip, or maybe just decided, you know what, I'm happy where I am in second at this point, not going to put that truck in a bad position before that competition caution and just kind of let things play out here for the next, that last handful of laps before we get to that, which will be coming up in about a lap from now, as Sean Jensick starting to work his way through some more lap traffic here just before we get to that comp caution.
Yeah, that was Dean Gagliano out of JW Racing. He's running 33rd, so 32 trucks on the lead lap so far. Next one in front of him going to be Walt Lipicki, so you can see him up there heading into turn one. That is going to be his next victim that he puts a lap down here. So lucky for Sean that there's really no battles per se in front of him, so these single cars are going to probably just let him go because they know they don't have the speed to really try and battle to hang on to this lead lap. So tough spot though for Sean Jensick here to catch the 64 in the S's, but then again, you know, he's got a 3.5 second lead on Ryan Johnson, so not too much to worry about here.
Yeah, no real pressure there for Sean Jensick, and this actually catching Walt Lipicki at the point that he did might actually be in Walt's favor, because only about 2.5 seconds ahead of him is the next lapped car. So right now Lipicki going to be sitting in the lucky dog position, but by having Jensick go a little bit slower through the S's might actually buy enough time that Lipicki can hang on to that lucky dog.
Yeah, Josh Mueller and Cody Madden just in front of Sean Jensick, so Walt going to be hoping that Sean doesn't get ahead of those guys, because you're right, that's going to pretty much put the 64 behind an 8-ball. I'm not going to get his lap back here. But as I say that, Dean Gagliano going to go right on by Walt Lipicki back there. So he's now sitting in the lucky dog position.
And keep in mind, the comp caution will be thrown before turn 20, before they get to the finish line. That's just for iRacing purposes, kind of keep that caution as short as possible as we make our way through the stadium section. Turns 13 and 14 as Cody Madden off pace. You see the heavy damage there to the front of that 3 truck, but Sean Jensick making quick work there as Cody moving out of the way, giving a little courtesy to the race leader.
Yeah, that's his Rev Racing teammate, so I'm sure he was letting him know he was there. Cody Madden having a little bit of struggle here tonight, so that's going to leave 30 trucks on the lead lap. Josh Mueller, the last truck on the lead lap, and I think he's going to be pretty safe here if you're right, and they throw the caution here heading into turn 20.
There it is.
There you go. So caution is out. The field is frozen here, and they're going to have a nice long lap to kind of get things sorted back out and find that pace car around this 3 and 2/10 mile circuit. So it's a big track, man, to get these cars all sorted back out and in a line out here in Austin, Texas. But there you go. That's your race leader so far. Sean Jensick absolutely dominating here tonight.
Yeah, great run thus far for him and Ryan Johnson, really. As you see, wow, he's even so fast, he's ahead of the pace car coming out of turn number 1. Pace car now catching up to our race leader, Sean Jensick. But it was about a 4-second gap back to Ryan Johnson, 15 seconds back to third place Landon Cardulo. But all that goes away because we're going to get restarted with about 11 laps to go to close this race out. Everybody's starting from scratch once again.
Well, we're going to go ahead, step aside real quick, and take a quick commercial break so we can be back in time for this next green flag brought to us by Silverback Tax Solutions. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these words.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today, and maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacttax.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
All right, you guys did not miss one bit of the action here at Circuit of the Americas. They're still pacing around this massive circuit, so getting the field bunched back up. You can see up there on the track map a few stragglers, still about 5 or 6 trucks trying to catch up to the field. They're heading down into turn 12, but pace car taking the field through turns 17 and 18 right now, that being the carousel. They're going to come back around turns 19 and 20. We're going to see each one of these trucks head down pit road. Now, Brandon, is there an opportunity for some people to maybe take a strategy call here, maybe go 2 tires and maybe a half tank of fuel? I'm not sure how it works because I try to do not as much math as I can. So.
Well, the way that you're looking at it at full speed, it's about 9/10 of a gallon every lap around here. So they're going to have to tank a full tank of gas to make it the rest of the way. At that point, I'd say just take your 4 tires since you're going to be sitting there anyway. I think the strategy play might come from who we saw pit before pit road closed with Bobby Anderson and Andrew Harris. They might be able to stretch this out the rest of the way if they're really kind of riding the clutch and killing that engine going around the racetrack.
Okay, could be interesting, so we'll keep an eye on that. So Cody Madden getting his lap back, but everybody else, I'm pretty sure, going to come down pit road this time, although I'm not sure the lap cars are going to come down. I am not familiar at all with this, Brandon, because when I raced here 2 seasons ago, we didn't have the competition caution. We had to race our way through and pit under green flag conditions, so I believe they might have to go a whole nother lap here to get these lap down trucks in the pit road and get their service as well. So there you see it. Andrew Harris, you're right. He did stay out ahead of these guys, so he's going to be our leader there in the 87 machine just in front. So new leader on the track, Andrew Harris.
And that's going to be an interesting position for him there because we already saw he's one of the highest, if not the highest, on the incident count. So he's going to have to be on edge as well. But he's going to be leading the pack. So he's going to have that clear raceway in front of him once we get restarted. And to answer the other question there about the pit cycle on this, I do believe yesterday it was lapped cars and lead lap cars got to pit at the same time on that first lap to kind of shorten this to a 2-lap caution. So we should be going green this time by.
All right. I mean, if we don't, you're fired, Brandon. So just kidding.
Well, if we don't, I'll blame it on what happened yesterday. I think there was a couple cars last night that were just taking a little too long getting caught back up, so they had to extend it. But I think the plan is everybody pits together and it's 2 laps.
Whatever you do, you're not allowed to leave. If anything, I'm firing myself, so I can have the rest of the night off. So I'll give you the controls, and you can take this thing all the rest of the way because we still got a long race left, even though it just says 12 laps to go. These are 12 very long laps, especially when we're going to have a battle for the lead here, I imagine here, because Ryan Johnson was hanging with Sean Jensick. He knows probably what he did wrong on that last run to use his stuff up a little more than the 29 did. So I think the 48 is going to hang around a little bit longer this time. So we'll keep an eye on that battle. Landon Cardulo should be able to hang with these guys. And I'm going to keep my eye on this one back here. Joseph DuPont is now running in 12th place. So he's getting ever so much closer back to the front. He's going to be restarting in row 6. He's going to have an opportunity to possibly have enough time to catch these guys up front.
Yeah, there's a few guys that are going to have some fresh trucks out there, or at least some of the damage repaired, and they're going to be closer to the field, DuPont being one of them. We've talked about Jose Castellanos working his way through the field. He's going to be still sitting in the 10th position, and one of the trucks that we were looking at early on in this race with a whole bunch of damage, Michael Madden, he got a chance to probably work on a lot of that because he was running in 7th, now sitting back in, I want to say, the 21st position, maybe a little bit farther than that, actually.
29th.
Yeah, 29th. So he took that time to really get that truck cleaned up, but he has a lot of pace around here in Austin, and might be somebody to keep an eye on, charging his way through the field, trying to recover as many points as he can.
Yeah, he's going to want to pick up as many spots as he can, so everybody better watch out because they're going to have their hands full with that. Sparkle and Shine, number 15 back there. But, Brandon, I see the pace car lights still on here. I think we're going to have a whole nother lap of pacing around this thing. So we've got some time to burn. And with that, let's go ahead and give a special shout out. What do you say, Brandon? To a new family member here in the SRN community, welcoming Adley. Congratulations to Nathan Nixon and his wife Erica, their new baby, joining us here not too long ago. I believe he was born on the 27th of March. So I think they're going to be bringing him home here today or tomorrow, and can't be happier for Nathan, who is my Rev Racing teammate.
Very cool. Congratulations to Nathan and Erica. Awesome to see a new addition to the SRN family, and more specifically to their family. So congratulations to them, and a little bit of a good reason, I suppose, for Nathan not to be here tonight.
Yeah, he was actually going to be my pick. He's got a road course win under his belt, and he won in Season 1 at the Daytona road course, and then I had to quickly change my pick to the current leader, Sean Jensick. Nathan knows how to wheel that 98 truck around these turns. So congrats, man. I'm super happy for him. And I always love that. I feel like in any picture that he takes, he's got a Nathan's Hot Dog shirt on. It's kind of it's kind of funny to me. I just think it's hilarious.
Hey, staying on brand, doing a good job with that one as we see everybody getting side by side now. So we are going to be going green this time, 10-lap shootout here in Austin to close this one out, and hopefully a little bit less drama than we saw in the late shootout in the Truck Series for real that happened this past weekend. Hopefully we keep that one a little bit cleaner here, but 10 laps to sort this thing out.
Ooh, and check this out. Our race leader, Andrew Harris, sitting at 23 incident points. Cody Madden at 24. The limit tonight, 25 incident points. So if anybody just happens to even touch that 87 and gives him 4X, you're going to see that 87 truck just disappear.
Yeah, and if you do see somebody disappear and they just completely vanish, it's more than blinking. That would be that they got disqualified for hitting that incident limit, and it will not take much. And even just going off track, that's a 1X, and that can still apply on these pace laps, these caution laps here. So he's still got to be careful under yellow to not be picking up incident points or kind of venturing off that line a little bit.
Checking in with the current butt kicker hard charger, that's going to be Bobby Anderson, who won that honor yesterday in the Cup Series race, doing the same here tonight. Started 33rd, now up to 13th position. He's up 20 spots from where he started, so great job, Bobby. Keep up the hard work, man, and might go back-to-back nights taking that butt kicker hard charger here at COTA.
Man, showing some great patience, just working his way through the field bit by bit. That truck looking pretty clean. Probably a little bit of repair as well during that caution, but still a clean-looking 18 truck right now. Probably one of the cleaner ones out there, despite making all those passes.
Well, it's actually curious or interesting to see or say. I can talk, Brandon, I promise you. It's interesting to see because he was one of those trucks that came down and pitted early. He short pitted, only had a 6.5-second pit stop on that round of pit stops that he just came down, so he was able to pick up a lot of spots. Moves up to 13th, so could be a really good strategy by the 18 of Bobby Anderson, so we'll keep an eye on him. He's going to have Joseph DuPont just in front of him, so could be following his teammate to the front of this thing. So Bobby Anderson Racing is coming.
Speaking of getting pretty close to coming back to Green Flag Racing as they work their way through the stadium section, now making their way into turns 14 and 15 before making that triple right turn that'll set them up for 19 and 20, and we'll be back green here with a 10-lap shootout at Circuit of the Americas, and sounds quick. It's going to take some time, though.
Yeah, we're getting there, Brandon. We're just inching ever so much closer. The longest pace laps of our life almost done here at COTA, but
I'm so looking forward to that tomorrow.
While we're under yellow flag, let's take the opportunity to go ahead and please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell right there so you know anytime we go live. I see 41 people watching at the moment, and man, I thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight, because it's going to get good here. We got Andrew Harris, who's staring down the possibility of being disqualified, restarting on the front row with 23 incident points and 3 or 4 very fast trucks behind him with Ryan Johnson, Sean Jensick, Landon Cardullo, and Brad Herman. But the field coming around turn 20, and we're going to see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag back out here in Austin.
Remember, we still have that blue cone rule, 3 wide. Has to be restricted up until they get to that point. Looks like everybody did a pretty good job thus far getting into turn 1. Deep dive into 1 for Andrew Harris, but he keeps it on track. But that's going to open up the window for Sean Jensick to the outside if he wants to make it side by side going into the S's, or if he can get ahead just in time, and he does. And that's going to be a huge opening for Sean Jensick to possibly pull away.
Yeah, one of my favorite cameras here, watching the S's, all these trucks snake through these S's here, and then heading towards turn number 8. We're going to see Sean Jensick leading them over there, hitting turn 6 pretty well, coming around turn 7 and 8 right here. We're going to nail that, and then we're going to come over the hill and head down turn number 10. Andrew Harris getting a little squirrely. Ryan Johnson just behind him. He wants to get by him so he can battle with Sean Jensick, and we're going to watch all these trucks come down and battle this hairpin turn number 11.
Big time turtle hop there for Sean Jensick. That's going to cost him a couple tenths of a second and maybe really hurt him going down this long 1 kilometer, 0.62 mile back straightaway where they hit the highest speeds, but he's going to be hampered by that just a little bit. But the saving grace is he's got Andrew Harris that is sitting in second place, who's going to have to be very cautious, and I think that is going to be throwing a little bit of a block back there to Ryan Johnson, Brad Herman, Blair Holloman, and the rest of the field.
Yeah, so a second and a half already, not even through the first lap back under green, so Sean Jensick likes what he's seeing, getting a little assistance from Andrew Harris, who is on older tires. Ryan Johnson not going to really want to wait much longer, which could be bad news for Andrew Harris, who's staring down 1 more point, or actually 2 more points. He's at 23x. If he even makes contact with Ryan Johnson back here, that 87's day could be done, so he's got to be careful. You can see how loose that 87 is on these older tires.
And that's a tough spot to be in. If Johnson kind of sticks the nose there to the inside of Harris as they come around turn 19, the Whataburger turn, as I like to call it, with that little sponsorship there on the outside. If Johnson just kind of gets that nose to the inside of him, though, and draws just the slightest contact, that could end the night. So that's just one thing that Andrew Harris has to be thinking of. And I kind of have a sneaky suspicion if anybody has a live spotter, perhaps there are drivers in the field that are aware of this as well.
Ryan Johnson and Brad Herman both getting by Andrew Harris. It's funny that you call that the Whataburger turn, because I call it the Chastain Das Boot turn. I think that's what we're going to call it here on SRN, and maybe you never know. Circuit of the Americas might pick that up and use that. So I was worried we were going to see that message from Race Control. Cody Madden has reached the 25 incident point limit. He is done on the night. I got a little notification on my scoring here that he had crashed again, and he was only 1 point away. So the 3 truck out of Rev Racing's day is done.
It's a tough spot to be in, especially with how clean this race has been thus far. And he's going to wind up being the 37th finisher in this field of 38. But again, that lead up front over a second and a half back from Sean Jensick to Ryan Johnson. Another second back to Brad Herman, who's moved into the top 3 for the first time today, as one of our early leaders kind of just fallen back a little bit. Landon Cardulo, not sure where he's sitting right now, actually. He's going to be in the 18th position.
Yeah, and he's got some big-time damage on that 13 Toyota Tundra now, so not sure what happened to him. But, yeah, he lost a lot of spots. He's sitting back there in 14th, like you said, and after running third, I know he is going to be disappointed with that result. So he's got his teammate Jonathan Byer in front of him. I know Jonathan probably going to be trying to calm down his driver because Landon, I don't know what happened, but he is probably not too happy with whatever it is right now.
Going back to see if I can find out what happened, and I think I have it. I think he just got into a bottleneck there in turn 1 and made some contact there with the nose of that 13, gave him some pretty heavy damage. But there you see on the bottom, another one of the things that we were hopefully not seeing, but kind of expected to see based on the pace from what we were seeing on incident points. Andrew Harris has been eliminated from the race after hitting 25X.
Yeah, and it's just he was really battling with the leaders there. And I'm never one to judge or, question what a driver does, but right there I probably would have done something a little different there and just kind of let the drivers go, because all it took was one touch of another driver anywhere on your car and you were likely going to hit at least a 2X there, and that's all he needed to receive the boot out of this one. Jacob Zala kind of overshooting turn number 1 there, loses 2 spots right there, so Zala now back to 6th place quietly here in the 47. Lane Doyle now up to 4th, so 2 trucks out of JW in the top 4, and then Trevor Williams sitting back there in 8th. So another good day for JW Racing if this thing holds out.
Don't look now, but one of our hard chargers, in fact, the hard charger of the race through the first half, Bobby Anderson now into the top 10, sitting in the 9th position, 13 seconds back, but still making his way through the field, making a lot of passes here since that restart just a couple laps ago.
Yeah, he's feeling nice and froggy out there, ain't he? He's up 24 spots, but right now, the current butt kicker hard charger going to be Kyle Lingerfeld in that 65 machine out of Tank Racing. So the 65 looking really good in that chrome Ford F-150. He's up 26 spots from where he started in 36th tonight, so almost completely the back of the field where he started, and now staring down the possibility of almost, actually he is in the top 10. So great run, Kyle.
That's an impressive run, moving up 26 spots all the way from the back. And just imagine all the carnage that he's seen in this race. There's been a lot of self-spins, a lot of light contact, a lot of heavier contact that he's had to make his way through. Made his way through all of it, and that's still a pretty decently clean truck out there, too.
Tough break here, man. Mike Mosby, who was running in the top 5 for the beginning portion of this race, sitting on pit road, a lengthy pit stop too at that. He's been in there for over a minute now, so unfortunately for that 99, that day is going to be done. See if he can get back out there, possibly maybe battle for a top 30 position, but where he was running, that's not what he's going to want here at the end of the day.
That's going to be a frustrating finish there for Mike Mosby for sure. Close racing here back up front. And really the only closeness here when it comes to the lead is just that battle between first and second, 0.8 of a second as they make their way up the hill and into that sharp hairpin left-hand turn number 1, and then make their way back downhill. It's a right-hander, and then they make their way into the S's, turns 3 and 6, all about rhythm when they hit this point.
Well, this goes to show you the difference in lap times here. Ryan Johnson running significantly quicker times than our leader, Sean Jensick. So I'll be curious to find out, Brandon, if maybe this is more beneficial for Ryan Johnson this time. Last time, when we first started this race, he was right on the bumper trying to get by the 29 of Sean Jensick. I almost wonder if having a little more space between him and the 29 is kind of making him take it a little easier, not pushing him as much, and maybe he's saving that stuff a little more to get it to the end and maybe put him in his position to go 3 in a row here in the Truck Series.
Well, you might very well be onto something. I think the other thing that might play a factor into this too is how much shorter this run is going to be because of the length of that competition caution being 3 laps. We only have that 10-lap shootout. It was about that point when Ryan Johnson's tires kind of really started to go on him, maybe pushing a little bit too hard in that first segment, but now he's got that knowledge of what he's got for the second segment of this race and could be in a very good position to time things out pretty perfectly to maybe set up a move on Sean Jensick, who's really led the since the start.
Yeah, Sean definitely keeping an eye on him back there in the mirror of that 29 Ford F-150. But seeing Chris Lucky in the chat cheering on Brad Herman and Blair Holland. Chris was one of those guys, man. He merely made it an entertaining race last night, battling with Joseph Causey. Almost got him. Unfortunately, didn't get to him in the end. Joseph Causey coming away with the win. But good to see Chris Lucky out there in the chat, a newcomer here on SRN, and making a statement early on, like a lot of these guys in the truck series. Whoa, Ryan Johnson kind of Tokyo drifting around there in the carousel.
And that's an easy turn to really slide out of. Mostly in the middle of that turn, it's pretty easy to kind of start losing the back end of that truck just a little bit. Did a great job of collecting that, though, and keeping the speed. Didn't really have much time drop, maybe a tenth of a second, which is pretty much the best-case scenario once you see that truck starting to slide on you.
Good battle here for fourth between Lane Doyle, Blair Holloman, and your teammate there, Jose Castellanos, who's now up to 6th, possibly staring down the top 5 here. But he's got some tough trucks in front of him now. These two battling here, Lane Doyle, Blair Holloman. Jose just kind of hanging out in the back, seeing what happens. Oh, almost loses it on the exit of turn 1, which is very easy to do when you climb a 110-foot hill and then immediately go back down after the apex.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like, we can bring it up every single lap. Oh, big turtle hop there for Lane Doyle in the 47. He had to cut through the turn. He's very likely going to have a time penalty that he's going to have to give up at least a second or so on track pace. And the positioning that he took, though, actually kind of blocking Jose Castellanos from making his way around. Not a bad way to go about that there for Lane Doyle, as I would imagine, there it goes, as he had that time penalty that he had to give up for cutting the course.
Yeah, and I mean, as Jose, probably not a fan of that, but not a bad strategy by Lane Doyle. Because for those that don't know, when you cut the turns like that, you immediately get kind of a black flag prompt on your dash, and it says how much time you need to give up. So he probably had a good second or two that he had to let go of there, and that just requires you getting out of the gas a little bit and kind of coasting, and that timer will kind of count down until you're good to go. So he's going to lose 2 positions for doing that, and Jacob Zala is still pretty far behind him, but Lane Doyle now sits outside the top 5.
By the way, we were talking about Jose Castellanos and a couple other guys making their way through the field as we had a close race here, but just quickly want to mention Michael Madden. We said, hey, how's he going to be making his way through the field? He's gone from 29th all the way up to 13th now. Great comeback here for the 15 truck, working his way through.
Absolutely a great comeback, and one of those drivers I was going to keep an eye on was Joseph DuPont. I am not seeing, oh, he's back in 17th, so he's fallen back a little bit from where he restarted in 12th, but still in contention possibly to come away with a top 10. But Brandon, let's get back up towards the front of this thing because we have a battle here for first place as they cross the stripe to take 5 laps to go here at COTA.
And one thing to keep in mind as they make their way up the hill, that finish line or the start line that they just crossed not too long before that turn, that's not where the race is actually going to end. The finish line actually closer to turn 20 where the entry of pit road is just about, so not too far into that straightaway. So keep that in mind. They're not going to have that straightaway to possibly make a last-ditch effort. It's going to come down to that turn 20 as they work their way through the S's, and it looks like Jensick has been pretty good through the first half. Oh, and another turtle hop there, this time for Ryan Johnson. That's going to cost him about a half second as he was really starting to gain some ground through the S's and maybe just got a little too aggressive.
Yeah, you just got to regain the composure and just get that out of your head because that can really mess up the rest of your turns, which only just continues to pile up after missing one of them. So good rebound by Ryan Johnson. Sits a second back of Sean Jensick with plenty of time. It's just weird to say that with 5 to go, but absolutely a ton of time as Sean Jensick kind of missed that turn there in turn 11, took a wide approach, didn't hit the apex, but not too detrimental to his cause right now because he's still putting time on that 48.
And I think that's going to be a thing that you see here in the rest of this race. I think you're going to see it tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure you saw it last night as well, where if you know that you've got a lot of those incident points left in the bank, that you haven't racked up that many, maybe you take one every now and then by kind of driving a little bit deep, getting a wide turn, going off track limits just that little bit, picking up some speed and putting a gap there behind to somebody behind you or closing in on somebody in front of you. If you know you got that wiggle room, that's one of those things that is just kind of worth taking that little bit of a penalty there. It's not going to hurt you on track. Big slide there coming out of turn 15, though, for Sean Jensic, and that's going to cost him about 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, turn 15, Brandon, for so you know, I call that the AJ Allmendinger Das Boot turn. So we got the Chastain Das Boot here in turn 19 as they're going through there right now, and yeah, the Dinger Das Boot is turn 15. So that's what I'm going to start calling all these turns. It's going to make it easier for everybody, I promise.
Yeah, the numbers kind of blur a little bit. Also, I'm just realizing I think that was more turn 16 than 15. I will blame iRacing, though, because iRacing says 16 turns on this track, and in reality it's 20 turns. So
yeah.
A little bit of ambiguity here on the turn count.
Oh, man, they don't help our cause at all. But 4 laps to go as you see Sean get a little bit of the turtle there. He's trying to get everything he can. Ryan Johnson just sitting 1 second back. We'll take a look at the lap time histories here. Sean got 0.4 on Johnson with that little mishap that he had that last turn. So he's picking up a little bit of what he lost there in lap 20. So that gap is closing, though, down to 0.9. Ryan Johnson definitely faster through these S's.
For sure, and I think Sean trying to play it a little bit safe and kind of venturing away from the turtles, away from the curbs just a little bit more than Ryan Johnson is. And I think part of that is he doesn't want to risk hitting that turtle and giving up that lead that he has. He wants to put that pressure on Johnson to say, you know what, if you want to catch me, you're the one that's going to have to be aggressive. I'm going to be conservative at this point and just make you try to catch me.
Well, there goes another one. Derek De Silva reaching the 25-point limit put on here by the admins. So I believe that's our 4th disqualification of the night on incident points here at Circuit of the Americas. But there you see, not as fast as the Cup cars were yesterday heading down into turn 12, and they got a break a little bit earlier too at these smaller rotors. Trucks topping out at 160 there. Sean Jensen got up to 161. But with 4 gears, that doesn't help you as much either. It kind of gives the Cup cars a little more to work with when they're downshifting and using the motor to kind of slow down their car as well.
Yeah, and it's also kind of, you know, once you get later and later into a run, the brakes start getting more worn out just because of the heat that they're having to build up through all of this. The tires start wearing. It gets slicker out there. And also the time of day that we're racing at, the track surface getting hotter and hotter out there under that Texas sun. And just makes that turn kind of just subtly change more and more as the race goes on. And you really got to be on point. This is a track. I talk about how it's got everything that you could want in a road course. The other thing is the intangible of how difficult it is and how much you have to be on at all times going around this racetrack.
Well, an update there on the incident point limits. Jose Castellanos 20, Walt Lipicki and Michael Madden sitting there with 16. But you mentioned the track surface getting hotter and hotter. This battle for the lead is getting hotter and hotter. Heating up towards the front. Ryan Johnson right on the bumper of Sean Jensic as they head through turn 2 and stare down the S's here, where Ryan Johnson has been better than Sean Jensic.
And this is going to be really interesting on where Ryan Johnson will try to set up a pass. Can he get to that back bumper, that tailgate of the 29? And he is right there within a quarter of a second, but he actually had a little bit of a slower exit out of the S's section. That gave the edge to Sean Jensic, who I think took that higher line, trying to build more speed coming out of turn 6 and into the rest of this little bit of a section here. But once again, right onto that tailgate for Ryan Johnson. It's going to risk side by side through the kink. They try it, and it's still going to be Sean Jensic out in front.
He's going to take a look here at turn 11. He's going to try and get the nose there. Sean Jensic going to shut the door, and that's going to give him a little bit of a wider exit there. He's going to get about a 2-truck gap between him and the 48. This thing is heating up, and I think we're going to have a battle. Could we see another last lap pass by Ryan Johnson again here in the truck series to make it 3 in a row? Sean Jensic not having any of it as they head towards turn number 12.
It's the man that's racing in the College Series and iRacing against Mr. Excitement here in the SRN Truck Series, as you coined him last week. back-to-back late passes and possibly trying to set up for yet another late pass for a third consecutive week to steal a victory late. But Sean Jensic has been on his game, practically leading this thing wire to wire beside a short lap under caution. That's the only time he hasn't led this race.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson really pushing it here. You can just see how loose that truck is. And you can just tell the 29 taking a much more conservative line, protecting where he needs to. We kind of saw that. That was what Ross Chastain ran through turns 14 and 15 in the arena section there. Kind of ran lower and didn't hit the apexes where he needed to. But Ryan Johnson utilizing all of the track right now because he has nothing to lose at this point, man. This guy has dominated in the season, knows he's putting the pressure on these drivers, and now we're down to 2 laps to go. He's staring down the possibility of getting a third straight win here.
It's a great exit that time out of turn 20 for Sean Jensic. He was able to stretch that lead back out to now 9/10 of a second. Good exit there for Ryan Johnson, but just as good for Sean Jensic. Little bit extra time gain there for Johnson, as I think he was just on the throttle, kind of being a little bit more aggressive down that downhill turn 2 as they make their way into the S's, and still that gap getting shorter and shorter as they go through the strong part there for the 48 truck. But once again, that high line for Sean Jensic on that exit of the S's, kind of pulling him back away about 1/10 of a second, but real good run through 7 for Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. It's helping him out a little bit as they go through turn number 8 here and stare down turn number 10. You can see how close it is as they're going to barrel down towards the hairpin turn number 11. This is where Ryan Johnson tried to make up a lot of time last time. He's going to send it in deep there and gets it stopped. He catches up to him by about 2/10 of a second there. Now just 1 truck length separating the 2 drivers.
And more importantly, he had the better entry, but he still had the better exit as well, as now Sean Jensic trying to break the draft a little bit at this long back straightaway. You wouldn't think drafting on a road course, but it does become a slight factor here as they hit that heavy braking zone into 12.
Well, we got 50 people watching in the chat right now on YouTube. Tell us what you think of this battle, man. We've had a great race at the Cup Series yesterday here at COTA. Another battle to the end here in the Truck Series between 2 greats. Sean Jensic, a 3-time winner last season. Ryan Johnson looking to become a 3-time winner this season, and we're only in week number 4. Sean Jensic kind of has a little mishap there, but Ryan Johnson not able to capitalize.
And I think that really set up because Sean Jensic took a very low line through 15 and 16, trying to protect the inside line. You might think back to Ross Chastain and A.J. Allmendinger there, where Chastain drifted up and A.J. Allmendinger stuck the nose in. Jensic was trying to protect from that, and I think that threw off his line just enough that it let Johnson pull in a little bit more. They're only going to be 0.3 of a second apart, taking the white flag.
Yeah, 1 lap to go here at COTA to decide who is going to win it. Could it be Sean Jensic getting his first win of the season, or like I keep saying, Ryan Johnson spoiling the party again to make a last lap pass? Could we see Mr. Excitement get it done? Sean misses the apex a little bit there, but not going to hurt him too much as they head towards turn number 2.
I also think that Ryan Johnson kind of backed it up into that turn a little bit, trying to get a better run on the exit, and it is showing. He is picking up 0.2 of a second before they even get to the S's, where he's been a little bit stronger. See if he got a little too deep, though, as he took that wide on that first turn of the S's.
Yeah, so 0.5 second is the gap, and Sean Jensic doing everything he can to not look in his mirror and miss his spots. So easy to do when you're at any road course. That gap is shrinking between the 29 and the 48 as they go around turn number 8 and head towards turn 9s and 10 here as they go down towards the hairpin turn number 11. This is where Ryan Johnson made up big time last time. Is he going to send it in deep again?
Not going to slam the nose to the inside of the 29. I think he's going to try the other way around, back it into the turn, try to get a better run here, and maybe this is going to be the point that he's thinking he's got the better shot, but he's going to have to go very deep into this turn if he wants to get the nose to the inside of that 29.
Yeah, Sean Jensic going to have to nail this braking point, a heavy braking point heading into turn number 12. Johnson
Here he comes.
Taking a look there. Not going to have it, though, so Sean Jensic still going to be in control of this thing by about 0.5 second as they head to turns number 13 and 14. So far, so good for Sean Jensic in the arena portion of this track, but Johnson not giving up any time to that 29. He's just got to hit his marks for about 5 more turns, and this thing is Sean Jensic's.
If he keeps it clean, he should be home free at this point. 7/10 the gap as they head through the carousel for the final time.
Yeah, these trucks are looking very loose. These tires are hot because they are using everything. You see 48 just whipping it out there through the carousel. 2 more turns for Sean Jensic going through turn number 19 here. He's got to be careful not to clip the grass there. 1 more turn, and Sean Jensic's going to be a winner here in SRN for the 4th time in his SRN career. Sean Jensic barely edges out Ryan Johnson. Man, what a battle.
Great racing, great clean racing there for the race win. There were times that it was very possible Ryan Johnson could have put the nose to that 29 and gotten him turned around, much like we saw over the weekend, but opted not to do that. Maybe thinking big picture with a couple wins in his back pocket and sitting in the points lead, thinking I'm not going to go wreck somebody to try to pick up a 3rd straight win. But either way, incredible performance from Sean Jensic and the 29 truck, leading almost the entire race. He led every green flag lap and on his way to a win here at the COTA 85.
I'm going to go ahead and let everybody know out in the chat that Brandon Domain might be taking over these races because I'm going to have a heart attack in this truck series, man. It is so exciting, man, with all the talent and just the competitiveness here amongst these truck series drivers, and great respect amongst a lot of these guys. I know Ryan Johnson wanted that one, but, man, nothing to hang your head on because this dude's been in the top 5 every race this season, almost got 3 in a row. But tonight's night is Sean Jensic, and we knew it was coming here soon. So as he blanks out a little bit there, oh boy.
That's scary when we talk about the incident limit.
Yeah. Glad he was able to get the race in before he started having blinking issues. But yeah, man, like we've touted Sean Jensic for a while now, and I like to give myself a little bit of credit for recruiting him on board Rev Racing and bringing him here on SRN because he has made me proud. This dude is in the iRacing Collegiate Series, battling amongst the best college drivers on the sim. He finished 2nd in the one race I got to see. I'm not sure if they've run more here. I think they might have, right, Brandon?
They had one. I was, unfortunately, and this probably sounds bad, I was not able to catch that, so I'm not sure where he came in that one, to be honest. But, yeah, they had one other race recently here about a week ago. I remember seeing all that going on, but not sure where he came in on that one. It's unfortunate to say.
Yeah, I think that was at Charlotte, so he's been a little bit busy here lately with that, but comes back this week to get that win here and celebrate towards this TJ's Team Foundation winning moment. I know Ryan Johnson's trying to get to his bumper, man, to give him a little congratulatory tap, but unable to do so because Sean Jensic's still kind of running this thing a little bit.
Well, I think now he would be safe to give him that little nudge if he wanted to make that contact, because now everybody's crossed the line since the race went to checkered conditions, but now they're out of time as we come down pit road, and Sean Jensic out of turn 20, and now he gets to burn him down finally after about 4 minutes of cooling down.
Yeah, so this is no stranger to Sean Jensic, a 3-time winner last season who was a Final 5 driver here in the Truck Series. Found himself a little bit buried down in the standings. Ooh, and a little sloppy here, but nonetheless, he's having fun out there.
You know, first one of the season, got to get that fuel back for it. Now the donuts are looking good, so hey, that's more than I can say. I haven't been able to do them yet in SRN, so but a great race. We'll give a B- on the celebration perhaps, but it was an A+ race for Sean Jensic as, like I said, every green flag lap, he was the leader for him. An incredible run there for the 29.
Yeah, so he's going to go up and celebrate in the turn number 1 hairpin turn up there in the Echo Park Automotive sponsored section up there of the track. Looking a little bit better now as he's got a little more room to celebrate in that 29 truck. The first win of the season for Rev'd Racing and Sean Jensic. So let's go ahead and pull up those results, Brandon, and give the top 20 rundown here in race number 4 of 20 on the season. Sean Jensic, our winner here by a half a second over Ryan Johnson out of JW Racing. Blair Holloman, your pick, came home in 3rd, so a great podium run by Blair. Jose Castellanos works all the way up to 4th, picks up 21 spots on the night. Great run by Jose. And Lane Doyle going to round out our top 5.
It'll be Jacob Zala in the 6th position, giving us 5 different teams in the top 6 tonight. Brad Herman, the defending champion, sitting in a solid 7th position. Landon Cardulo, saw him in the top 3 for most of that first segment. The second segment got marred in an early incident there, but rebounded back up to 8th. Trevor Williams in the 9th position, and Michael Madden rebounding from 29th on that restart all the way back up to 10th.
Yeah, great run by Michael Madden. And then we're going to have Kyle Lingerfeld there in 11th place. He's going to be up 24 positions on the night. Rob Yost Jr. in 12th. Josh Fox in 13th. Ben Mueller 14th. And Joseph DuPont in 15th.
In 16th place will be Nick Halda, yet another one of the JAW Racing trucks. Jonathan Byer out of Jonathan Byer Racing in 17th. Kevin Winker will take the 18th position. Josh Mueller in 19th. And Benjamin Park will round out the top 20.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring up that third place finisher here tonight and get Blair Holloman up to the booth. Blair, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain. Congrats on the great run, coming home in third tonight. Tell us how that race was in that 06 machine, and what could you have done a little bit different? Maybe get up towards the front there.
Yeah, it was an interesting night. I'll give it that. This truck, it's not really one of my strong suits here at COTA. I'm not gonna lie. This track's a little too technical for me, but I can't complain. It was definitely a fun race. I do feel bad for the turn 1, lap 1 incident there. I was in the middle of 3 wide. I couldn't really go anywhere, but do apologize to DuPont because that ruined his race.
Well, still a great recovery, really from most everybody that was involved in that incident, honestly, but a great run for you here today. And you talk about, this track a little too technical, to use your terms there, but still great road racing ability that you have, and a lot of the flat tracks as well. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that over the next 3 weeks. After this one, we still have Motegi, still have Pocono, still have Watkins Glen. How do you feel about the rest of this month coming up?
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I haven't ran Motegi in iRacing. I've run it in a set of Corsa. I'm kind of familiar with the track, but not too much. Of course, Pocono last year was a top 6 finish, and the Glen I'm quite familiar with, so I'm looking forward to those races. It's just I got to start building momentum from there, because last couple weeks have been kind of rough.
Well, yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with the level of competition ramping up a little bit here in the truck series. But Blair, we're used to you being up here in the booth, so it's good to see you finishing on the podium once again. Before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, of course, I'd like to give a quick shout out. Of course, to my sponsor customer club, Dustin, I know he's watching. Macro Tools, my tool guy, Roy Salisbury, I know he's out there watching. We have ACR, Autocore Recycling, and of course, NRN, National Racing Network, with my buddy Bert that runs High Side Hustle. And of course, my guys from Zeros Racing. Without them, couldn't really learn much of the track without having teammates that are willing to take the time to help you learn a different track.
Absolutely, man. So congrats again, once again, on the top 3 finish here tonight, Blair. We'll see you next week in Japan, man. And we're going to be out at Twin Rings in Motegi, like Brandon said. So good luck next week.
Thank you, guys. I'll catch you next week.
All right. Well, that was our third place finisher here tonight, Blair Holloman. Now let's go ahead and move on to Mr. Excitement, Ryan Johnson. It's Greg Olenek, Brandon Domain up here in the booth. You're going to give me a heart attack, man. You keep hitting these close finishes at the end. Congrats on the second place finish. I know you wanted to go 3 in a row, but man, tell me about that race and what could you have done possibly a little bit different to maybe get the edge on Sean Jensick?
Oh man, I'm sweating. That was a workout and a half. Yeah, I had to buy the track for this season. I hadn't turned laps. Practice was going to be essential, and it seemed like it, for the most part, paid off. That first run, I used my stuff up trying to keep up with Sean there. He was just super smooth, and he was able to save his stuff, I think, really good. And then if that one car who stayed out under caution, if they weren't there, I feel like it would have been an even closer race for that second run. But yeah, I was using everything I could to get back up to Sean, and then just kind of riding behind him for a couple laps, trying to see if I could get a run on him. And I did that one time, but cutting the corner so tight, I just lost all speed, and he had momentum off. But no, that was a hell of a race. It was a lot of fun. I'm tired. Congrats to him, though.
Well, and one thing I'm starting to wonder is you kind of downplayed it a little bit last week with us coming here. You're saying, you didn't have the track, you haven't returned a lap on it, weren't sure how you were going to do, sitting there in second place. So I'm assuming with Motegi, which one between Greg and I should we pick you next week for our picks? Because we're starting to think, I don't think it's going to matter at this point. You're going to be up there.
Oh man. Well, thank you. I don't know. I'm not a bragger by any means. So I practice. I see what happens. I got no control over what everyone else does. I just try to control what I do and what our team does. I that's same situation. I haven't turned a lap, but practice is going to be another big importance here. So we're gonna get as much practice in as we can. Having a good time running the series, and so far it's paying off. Just hopefully we can keep it going throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely paying off so far. But before we get to the love yous and the thank yous out there, I got one more question, and that has to do with what you kind of harped on a little bit. You mentioned Andrew Harris started on the front row after that restart, after the competition caution. Held you up a little bit, but you got around him pretty quickly. Do you think that kind of helped you with saving your stuff a little more than you did in that first run, and ultimately giving you a position there to possibly make a run for it at the end on Sean Jensick? Do you think that helped you out a little bit?
Maybe a little, but I think what I saved in that first lap in a corner or whatever it was, I think I used up trying to catch back up to Sean, because I think he was about a second and a half, 2 seconds ahead by that point. By the time I got around him. So, I mean, it's hard to say. I knew after the first run I wanted to run a little easier the second run, and I tried. It's hard to say if I did or not, but I feel like we did. So at least we made it a little interesting. We got back up there. We weren't multiple seconds back. It wasn't a boring finish.
Oh no, but not by any means. But before we let you go, like I said, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, definitely. Our owner, Justin Rideout, JW Racing, Rogue Energy, use the code JW Racing, Maxon Industries Incorporated, Marin Mechanical, Rufus Sport MMA, Saloon Door Sports, my teammates, everybody tuning in and watching, all the admins for the league, you guys are broadcasting, friends, family, everybody out there, cheering us on, watching us have fun, live our dreams, even if it's not in real life,
Hey, it's as real as it gets for us, man, and it's exciting for us up here in the booth. So we appreciate the little shout out, and hey, we'll just make this a date, and we'll see you again maybe next week. So Ryan Johnson, aka Tiny Horse, aka Mr. Excitement, comes home in second tonight, man. Congrats again, and have fun celebrating with the team on a good run.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Well, Ryan Johnson, like I said, comes home in second, but it's time to get to the man of the hour and bring Sean Jensick up to the booth. Sean, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up here in the SRN broadcast booth. Congrats on the well-deserved win. Tell me about those last couple of laps and how much you were looking in the mirror, because Ryan Johnson was really bearing down on you there.
Yeah, thank you for that. It feels nice to be back up here after my rough start to the season, but get that momentum going my way. But the first half of the race, really with the caution, just took it as kind of practice, saving my tires. I didn't do it as well in the first half as I did didn't do as well in the second half as I did in the first half. So driving the last few laps were a little scary there. Ryan was closing in on me, but I made sure to keep my incident count low the whole race, just so I could use as much runoff as I could without getting slowdowns that last lap, just to make sure he stayed behind me.
Man, that was just impressive. We were saying that under green flag conditions, it was a wire-to-wire win there for you. You had that little lead change under the caution. But how was that second restart feeling? You talk about that first half of the race really being practice, but then you're sitting there on that front row once again. You got the entire field looking right there behind you, barreling down into turn one. How are the nerves on that one? Asking for a friend that might be racing tomorrow.
Yeah, it was definitely a little scary. You know, I just took the first half as nice and easy, but that second half, I know people are gonna be ready to go, and I was trying to go up the tempo a little bit, but I think I upped it a little too much, cooked my tires a little bit, but it all worked out there in the end.
It sure did. And Sean, you mentioned you had a rough start to the season. You get your first win in week number 4. You're three-time winner last season, a Final 5 driver. But tell me, what does it mean, and how does it feel to get that pressure off your back? And on top of that, what are we looking forward to in the upcoming schedule? We got Twin Rings coming up. We got Pocono. We got Watkins Glen, Talladega, and Dover Motor Speedway all in the next 5 weeks. What are you staring down as a possibility to maybe have another win here?
I mean, any of those tracks is better than here, so there's not everything to look forward to.
All right. Well, before we let you go, Sean, to celebrate with your teammates on another great run out there, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Urabel and Sparkle and Shine. I'd also like to thank my Rev Racing teammates there, especially Nate. Like to congratulate him and the missus on the baby. I'd like to thank the Rat Pack boys and thank you guys up in the booth.
All right. Yeah, man, we gave Nathan a little shout out for him and Emily bringing Adley into the world, and a great present for your Rev Racing teammate, man. A nice win here. Well deserved, because that is not easy to hold off Ryan Johnson, who's been making a theatrics for last lap passes. So congrats again, man. Good luck in your collegiate series moving forward, and good luck here on the SRN series as well, man. Making it look easy out there.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Brandon. Well, that was Sean Jensic, our winner here tonight. An absolutely fantastic 25-lap race, and never a dull moment out there by any means on this racetrack.
No, not at all. And I think every driver, if you ask them how you feeling after this one, they're just going to say tired in some way. Maybe not physically, but mentally they're going to be very tired, because this is one of those tracks that if you lose focus for a second over these 20 turns, that could put you in a very dangerous position. So it's such a tough racetrack, but the drivers, for the most part, the vast majority of the field really handled this challenge well.
Absolutely, and I'm curious to know, I always ask you, since you race tomorrow, how you feeling for that 30-lap race in the Xfinity Series?
Man. I mean, road courses, like I said earlier, I don't consider myself a road course ringer by any means, but I just have an enjoyment just for road course racing. So I'm excited to see this one. I really like COTA. I like Watkins Glen. That's going to be coming up too. I don't know if that's going to translate to a great finish, but definitely going to have a good time out there just taking on this challenge. Enjoyed it in the truck side a year ago when I got to run it, and see how it goes in the Xfinity side now.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. And I know everybody out there was kind of dreading this week, and it's funny how it's turning out with awesome racing throughout the whole field. So I'm excited to see what you guys put together tomorrow in those low downforce cars in the B-Class Xfinity cars. But if you guys enjoyed what you saw here tonight, please like the stream, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell so you know exactly when we go live moving forward. We had 50 people watching us live here tonight just on the YouTube page alone. I can't appreciate and thank you guys enough for doing just that. So come back tomorrow. We're going to be going on at our normal time of 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great Gearing Up segment with Jacob Manning, last week's winner in Atlanta. And check out Brandon Domain. He's got a little bit of a new setup upgrade, which could be helping out his cause tomorrow. I'm not going to give out your secrets, Brandon.
It's nothing illegal, I promise everybody.
Hey, that's between me and you, Brandon. No. But, yeah, come check us out tomorrow on SRN. We're going to have another great show for you guys. But for myself, Brandon Domain, and all of the admins behind the scenes, thank you guys so much. Good night. And as always, remember to go faster.